And we are joined by Celtics President of Basketball Operations, Brad Stevens. We have questions for Brad, please. First question is from Mark Murphy.
Hey, Brad.
Hey, Mark.
You guys went with another overseas talent for the second straight year. Is there a possibility that this is a stash pick, and just what do you see in him?
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. We're just going to continue to evaluate our team throughout the summer and as we add new pieces and everything else. But, I'd say that's the likely avenue. We really like Juhann. I think that he's a guy that's a big, strong, versatile guard that can guard up with his strength and athleticism. He came in for a workout the other day. We got to see him up close, and we've been paying attention to him for a long time. But he's a guy that we think, at his age and his body and his physical abilities and the way that he works and the time that he's put in thus far is going to have a really long, good career ahead of him. And so we're excited that we were able to draft him there at 45.
Mark, you have a follow-up question?
Considering that you already have Yam, what does this mean for Yam going into not just the summer, but into training camp?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Yam will be with us during the summer league. We've got a lot to work on over the next few weeks with regard to, finishing up our roster. And so we go from there. Nothing is finalized or to be determined on any of those fronts, but, we'll see.
Tim Bontemps?
Brad, I was just curious, with this being your first draft, running the show in the room, I was just curious how it felt and how much different it was from being in it in years past.
It wasn't that much different, Tim, to be honest, because we, leading up to the draft, we had some conversations with people, but nothing really significant, and thought that it was going to be a pretty predictable night from the standpoint of we were just going to pick where we were slotted and go from there. So it wasn't all that eventful, which is okay. I think, we've got a lot of things that we have to make sure that we're mindful of right now. And we've got a lot of things we need to do to, set ourselves up for good things.
Keith Smith?
Sorry about that. I think I'd be better at this by now. Brad, with the Terrence Clark situation, wish it had never come down, but did you get a chance to see what the league did there? Do you have any thoughts on that, considering it was a local kid?
Yeah, I thought it was very nice. It was a very moving tribute. I thought it was obviously very emotional seeing his mom there, family there. It was really nice, but it was really sad. I can't imagine being a parent in that circumstance. And, I said when the night that he passed, he is a Boston kid. And so he means a great deal to us. That was a great honor to him and a nice celebration of a time that, that he had worked for his whole life, but really, really heartbreaking to see the emotions from his family and to know that, he wasn't there on a night that he had always dreamed of. That's really hard.
Ryan Robb?
Hey, Brad, a couple questions for you. First, just, heading into free agency next week, what's the biggest priority for you guys as an organization, heading into that beyond, obviously just improving the team overall? And then looking at summer league, do you know yet which players that are currently on the roster you anticipate, taking part in that?
Take the second part of your questions first. So Yam and Payton, Carsen, Romeo, Aaron, Moses, and I don't yet know about Juhann. We'll have those discussions over the next few days. So quite a few of our guys will be, at practice. A lot of guys have been in the gym, doing individual work and that stuff over the last few weeks, and certainly this week even more. But practice, I think, starts officially with the whole group the 3rd. Practice 3rd through the 6th, and then head out the 7th, and that whole group will go. And so that should be fun. See a lot of those guys play, and for a lot of those guys to get reps. Joe Mazzulla will coach it, and so we should it's an important couple of weeks for us. With regard to what we want to add to our team, it's pretty consistent. I think we need to be mindful of our near and long-term views, and at the same time add hopefully an edge and some experience to our team. And so those are things that, when I say experience, I mean, just a savvy, have been through it before, that will help make everybody around our guys better. And I think that's an important thing for our team as we move forward. The fit is important. What people bring to the table from those attributes are important, and that's what we're looking at.
Brian, another question?
And just to follow up on that, Brad, with the balance of just trying to find that right fit that you just talked about, while also against the keeping that long-term flexibility that you've mentioned before, even after the Kemba deal, how tough of a balancing act that is. Do you think you guys can achieve, check both those boxes?
Yeah, no, I think we can. That'll be the challenge over the next couple of weeks. We have a good foundation. I mean, we know who we're building this thing around. We know what we're trying to accomplish, and at the same time, we've got to make sure that we're making continuous forward strides. And it's really important that we bring in again the right people that can help accentuate each other.
Mark D'Amico.
Hey, Brad. Throughout your time here, you guys have now had a few players who were drafted from overseas, some of which stayed overseas for some time, including Yam. How do you see that as a beneficial situation where there's not really a lot of pressure for a player necessarily to come over immediately, and you guys can kind of monitor their development overseas in that situation if they do stay there for some time?
No, I mean, everybody's a little bit different. Everybody is at a different age and stage of their careers. Sometimes your team and the roster dictates some of those decisions. There's pressure everywhere. So I don't think that necessarily I think that, if you're playing overseas at that level, you're playing at a big time level. And so that's a great thing as you're growing into the best version of yourself, as you're growing your game. And so there's a lot of ways to get better. There's a lot of ways to improve, and there's a lot of ways to reach your peak. And, for some, that's this journey. For others, it may not be, but there's no exact defined path that fits everyone. And I do think that it can be very, very beneficial. And that level of basketball is awfully good. And the coaching at all the different countries and all the different places around the world, as we see, awfully good. And so great preparation for next steps, should that be the avenue that, Juhann follows, and certainly what Yam has done.
Hey, Brad. There's been some reports that you're looking to hire a general manager. I'm assuming you don't want to talk names or anything, but is that something you're pursuing? And have you gotten an idea how you'd like to structure the front office?
I said when I took the job, I told everybody here, I was first and foremost most cognizant of the people that were, that change was affecting, namely my coaching staff. Secondly, we were going to hire a coach. And third, we were going to try to, navigate this summer from the standpoint of managing the team and the roster and adding to. At that point in time, over those few months and the months that now follow, I'll have had plenty of time to evaluate kind of where we stand and what our needs are. But I have not reached out to anybody. So anything that's been said about me reaching out would not be true. I don't know if people make assumptions or whatever the case may be, but I have not reached out to anybody, and we'll, again, once in a while sit down and figure out exactly what our needs are, and what we need to do from here. We'll move appropriately, but we've got good people, that have put in a lot of hard work in the front office in the last couple of months. And, it's been a lot of time and not enough time to properly evaluate and determine our next steps with regard to that. I think that there's clearly some, small, tweaks and things that we can do just as far as an additive. But, as far as like reaching out to GMs or anything like that, I haven't done any of that.
Final question, Brad, is from Keith Smith again.
Hey, Brad, how much did maybe a potential lack of roster spots factor into decisions tonight as far as maybe trading up or trading back into the first round and things like that?
Well, we tried to trade up, but, we weren't willing to offer very much. As you can see, and you probably know, felt like the draft was, there were a lot of good players at a lot of different levels of the draft. And, obviously with us, with where we are with, from a financial structure, from a roster spot structure and everything else, it didn't make sense to have, 3 new additions from this draft or 2 new additions from this draft. So that had a part of it. But, we're still, we'll see how the next couple of weeks go and how we round out the roster. But I certainly think we have a lot of young guys. And so unless we were, totally sold out to moving up and adding another young guy, and someone else would agree to that, because that's part of it, right? Then, it makes sense to fill in our roster with people that can help our young guys navigate and grow.
We'll wrap it up right there. Thank you very much, Brad.
Thank you.
Everyone.